name is Nick Moore, and I run HungryBoiler.com. I'm an entrepreneur. I started the business when I was 22. I began working with a similar website. Some buddies of mine up in Penn State started a menu guide, and it just listed every menu for every restaurant at Penn State. And from there, I heard about that, and I thought it was a really catchy idea. I felt like it was something that, you know, could, if done right and done well, could work anywhere. And I reached out to those guys, and a friend of mine also did the same thing in Bloomington, and the timing just added up on the whole deal. So we were able to develop what we have today, and then add in some new features, obviously, because the bare bones of Hungry Boiler is it's a resource that you can come to see menus and get numbers and hours. But typically what you'll find on the internet is a lot of bad data, because no one regulates search, and if you go to Google and pull up a restaurant, you can get a phone number that's wrong, or a restaurant that's out of business. So the number one goal of Hungry Boiler is to make sure that all that content is up to date and relevant and accurate, and that's the major core of Hungry Boiler. And then we obviously use that to encourage people to order online and get the great deals that we offer. I think the hardest part was getting the money, because of how young I was at the time. It's very difficult for somebody who doesn't have a cosigner or doesn't own property to get a bank or an angel investor to give you the amount of money that we needed to get Hungry Boiler going in the right direction. So that was a huge obstacle. Luckily, I was able to grow through that and begin understanding the business even better, and it really helped to cultivate the ideas and my plans for Hungry Boiler. And then when the deal finally did go through, I was so excited, and it had taken me 6 months to work to that point, that when it finally happened, there was just no looking back. There was no moment of doubt. It was just time to go. Well, it's so difficult to estimate, how quickly you're going to go through. I got the Gut Munchies t-shirt on right here, and in the beginning we started out with postcards, and we got like some t-shirts, we got like a couple hundred, and we got much smaller numbers last year than what we did this year. So last year, I guess differently, I would have gotten twice the amount of stuff so that we wouldn't have ran out, because when it's nice weather out and you want to be running around the community and building your brand and getting awareness out there, it's difficult to sit there with your hands tied and not have much to give out. So that was the first thing I would do differently. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, starting my own business is the life-changing decision for me. I would encourage people to do their due diligence before deciding to do that, and make sure that you've researched not only the product or service that you're going to offer, but the industry, the history of the industry that you're going into, future projections. Obviously, anytime you start a business, there's a lot of corners and twists and turns and ways that the path of the business is going to go, and you can never say with 100% certainty what's going to be around that next corner. But it's important to prepare yourself to make the most educated guess possible. Well, I view our competition as status quo. People that get in town and save some pizza place's phone number right away. So I would say that our biggest advantage is that we offer the convenience and ease of use, versus when you call in, you can get put on hold, you can't see the whole menu, you don't know what the really best special is. So for Hungry Boiler, you can sit in your dorm, your fraternity, your classroom, wherever, your apartment, and you can see all of that and do it on your own time and your own convenience. I think that that's a major selling point to why to use Hungry Boiler. I'm already in the process of trying out new ideas. That's kind of the way I think. Just in general, it's all about the next project and making sure that the ones that I'm involved in now are done to my standard of excellence. And I think that I'll hopefully develop a long-standing career as an entrepreneur in many different industries. The best advice I could give to future entrepreneurs. Well, I always tell people to do their due diligence. That's the most important thing, and by that I mean know what you're talking about, know what you're going into, which is also very important. But lately, I've just really been enjoying what I'm doing, and I'm glad to see things going well and my hard work paying off. So I think that the best advice would be to go into something that you can be passionate about, something that you can ultimately love and passionately jump into and do it at 100%. So that's the biggest thing. Because eventually, I mean, a business is kind of like, there's no end date necessarily. Anybody can start it, but I mean, when in the future where is it going? And You see people that 2 or 3 years down the road, or maybe even 6 months down the road, they get involved in a project that at the beginning it seemed like the right idea, but then they get their feet wet and they hesitate or withdraw, and you can tell that it affects their quality of life, and I think that that's obviously one of the most important things.